so interesting to talk about the subject of data and disorganized data in the CRM, right? Because we're seeing it over and over again.
This is a pain point that we are seeing on a daily basis, not only when we architect and implement for our clients, but when we have conversations with our prospects. And at the root cause, a lot of the times, is not the platform, but it's how the system is architected and how the data lives in those systems. A lot of the times we notice that the systems are not connected and there are too many owners of data across these systems, which in turn will give you back and will give you in return poor data or even dead data at some point.
And that poor data and people not being able to rely on their data causes big reporting issues, doesn't it? I mean, we see that all the time when people say, don't look at the data, don't trust the data, and they're making decisions on poor data. So the importance of getting it right from the beginning, would you say it was just people don't put the importance on it?
I think most companies don't realize that they have a data problem, and using a proper CRM will showcase that. But even more so, we are now in the age of AI. So plugging into your CRM something like Claude and trying to get that insight in, we're now beyond build me a dashboard.
Yes.
You kind of have that already if you plug a like one of the tools into your CRM, and even that is quite difficult to report on if you don't have the right data. And this is what we've noticed as well. And having those conversations, like some of the companies out there can't use AI just yet, purely because the data is not ready for that.
So the sequence is, what we're saying here is, get the data right, get the foundation right, and then think about infusing or layering in AI.
100%.
Got it. So let's talk about AI, because look, AI is everywhere. So what would be our number one kind of go-to for the use of AI with an existing tech stack? So a CRM. Should we be layering in AI? Should companies be thinking about it? Or is it ticking the box of, got to use AI? The board's expecting me to use AI.
Well, I would say we have different use cases here. And whilst so many companies that we are speaking with now want to use AI and have a budget for that and even have a task team for that, we are seeing different ways in which AI is used. So if you're thinking about your go-to CRMs, the most popular ones, they already have AI infused in them. However, sometimes not at the level that a company that's really cutting edge would need. And then you go into use case number 2, where you would want to plug another tool into your CRM, or even more than that, use case number 3, where you build your own AI infrastructure.
I mean, it's really incredible to see some companies sort of what they are doing internally. But what would be our kind of caution towards plugging in external LLMs?
Well, a lot of that will come down to compliance. And a lot of that would definitely come down to your requirements and how much you want your team to test, and what sort of flexibility you have there as well, and what kind of data you hold to. So there's a big conversation around this as well to be had. How do you think this impacts revenue? Like everything that's happening now with all the new, well, it's not new, all the current technology at the moment, with AI being like layered and infused in every system pretty much.
That's, it's such an interesting topic, because what we're finding over and over again is that people are layering in new shiny tools and expecting it to be the secret sauce or the answer to the revenue. When what's really happening is they have a disjointed and a disparate tech stack, and these new tools aren't bringing in more clarity, they're causing more confusion. So what we always say is, take a step back, let's look at a more RevOps approach and where the incremental gains can be with the existing architecture and infrastructure. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. A lot of the times when we begin work with our clients, this is the first thing that we look at their setup, at their tools, and how everything is architected for the now, but also how we can not only evolve that, but set that up for scale. Because many companies, and what we have seen, their issue was not, oh, I need more salespeople, or I need more marketers, or I need many other platforms. The current setup is just not working, it's disjointed. And that's where you're getting such a big return on investment. And we're not even talking about you saving money because you're streamlining your tech stack, but you're actually making more from a conversion perspective, from a nurturing perspective, and being able to attribute all the good work that's being done and pretty much take that down to measuring ROI.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating because in all our experience with working for over hundreds of companies, we've never yet found that we've gone into a situation and not found a leaky conversion leakage where we could optimize from a RevOps or a CRO perspective on optimizing a part of the funnel to give them more revenue. So it's not always about layering in that top of the funnel. It's actually about working through that pipeline and user journey to find out where the revenue leakage is to get more incremental gains. Would you agree?
100%. And this is actually a big part of what we do. And if you think about just a simple use case, like a reinsurance company, where making a small change in their pipeline when it comes to conversion means millions, then that really makes you think where the ROI is. And sometimes the ROI is not just in bringing in new leads or working new opportunities, it's actually working in optimizing your current processes and implementing systems that sustain that and enable you to actually evolve on top of that. And sometimes, like, some of our prospects and clients are surprised when we just go through a simple exercise and we say, hey, you could actually save 500K per year just by doing this. Let's test it out. And it just makes you think differently. It's not, and for a lot of our clients, it's not a volumes game. It's actually a game of a couple of really big clients that if they are able to convert them this year, that's huge.
Yes, because we're talking in a B2B environment, it isn't volumes, it's high ticket item pricing, it's targeted accounts, it's an addressable or serviceable known target market. So it's really about making sure that we have that user journey and that sales motion really, really well defined. When we talk about, that's kind of flows nicely into lead generation because every company in the world needs sales. Sales engine is the lifeblood of a company.
Correct.
And don't you find it so fascinating what's happening with lead gen, with prospecting agents and AI nowadays? And
100%.
So how you know, and it's almost, it's such an interesting atmosphere and interesting ecosystem to watch right now, wouldn't you say?
100%. And I think going beyond the tools, because we think looking back at what lead generation meant and what maybe if you think about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what SEO meant and what is now an AEO, and lead generation has evolved as well. It's now beyond just, run a paid campaign run a remarketing. Let's just, put a white paper out and generate some more leads. There are a couple of things to think about which are core to lead generation. And the first thing is understanding what we are promoting and what we are selling here and what kind of leads we want to generate. And what we have seen in our experience working in these, in financial services, but in a lot of like high growth environments and regulated environments, the main issue is working with a partner that just doesn't understand what you do. And partnering with a company that has no clue what you're about. And I think that's at the core of lead generation going wrong, if that makes sense. Because again, if we're targeting only 400 companies in the entire world, like this is our addressable market, the strategy is different. And we need to look at different strategies and different ways to apply our knowledge, but the knowledge about like our clients as well. And I think that makes a big difference.
Huge difference. And I think it's really interesting to witness what's happening right now, because we do have those regulated companies who have 800 as of their target market of known companies in the world. And often we're finding that they're experimenting with AI, for example. Say they're using an AI tech stack to get intent. But what we're finding, and I don't know about you, but I'm finding it more and more that it's not infused into the lead generation process. So we call that smart lead gen, where you are using these very clever agents or creating co-agents of yourselves to actually infuse it into that known target marketed approach, that ABM approach to lead gen. Would you agree?
Well, I definitely agree with what we've seen, because we are running various experiments.
Yes.
At Evara, we're running loads of experiments on not only lead gen, but this is an interesting part of what we do as well. There's always a mix of all the signals that we can collect right now, putting AI to work on that and only bringing the human at the right time, at that precise time when your prospect is ready to convert. And there is secret in that, and there is a lot of setup that goes into something like that.
So one of the questions that we always get asked, and I think loads of companies ask, is what's the biggest leakage?
Yeah, where do we see the biggest leakage? Across the process, right? Across any businesses.
I'd have to say,
well, it has to be sales. It definitely has to be sales, unfortunately. And there are a couple of reasons for that. And if we really think about it, it would be fair to say that it's also somewhere in the middle, in between marketing and sales, where things can get lost. And even that's actually a symptom of something behind, which has to do with data, has to do with systems, has to do with structure. But in the end, it manifests in sales.
Yeah, I mean, salespeople just want to sell.
That's it.
And they don't want to use CRMs, or they just need to close the deal.
I don't want to be sitting there filling in tons of properties every day. That's for sure.
So, coming back to sales enablement, making automation part of the process, really helping them with playbooks, with snippets, with, even like agents that give them the research and real-time information, 100%. So they have that information at touch of a hand, I think is just incredible now.
Definitely. And there are a couple of other things that we always study when it comes to working with sales teams, for example, to improve the sales process. And by that, we don't mean we're coaching sales teams. Salespeople are fantastic. It's more the process that enables them to sell more or sell better. And sometimes you're not able to reach your goals because the system is not supporting you to do that. And you end up with a deal stuck in stage X purely because the system is just, and the process is not allowing you to move that forward.
Or it's over-customized. We find that a lot. You've got so many fields, it takes so long to fill in the information that it discourages people from using the system.
Correct.
So keep it simple, aid with automation, information.
100%. And always analyze how your sales process works and how your pipeline works as well. And even if you do just let's say an initial 3-month test to understand how deals are moving. Of course, if your sales process is longer, you'll have to take longer than that. But understanding how the deals are moving and what the issues are, and doing those small optimizations, but that in the long run are actually saving you, 100K, 1 million. That just pays off for itself, running those experiments.
Yeah, and be consistent. Be consistent and make sure that everyone's adopting it and get their feedback.
Adoption is a big thing.
Adoption's everything.
Something we've noticed working across many projects, sometimes we hear, well, let's just implement this CRM. We're talking sales now, and then we'll take it from there and we'll see. And just do it for us. And a lot of times we would come back and say, actually, that's not recommended.
Yeah,
You do want to have the opportunity afterward to scale it. You want your team to have the opportunity afterward to ask questions and come up with ideas. And a CRM is a living system that has to evolve with your team, and they have to be a part of it. So there is no adoption without that sort of like contribution and idea generation and support from your team.
to make sure it's connected, it's sustainable, it's scalable, and it's smart.
100%.